Hi, my name's Chris Russell and I'm the CEO of Plum Tree Realty. Today I'd like to talk to you about how to conduct a listing appointment. You may or may not be aware that the real estate agents who rise to the highest levels of pay are the agents who focus on listing properties. You might prefer working with buyers, and that's fine, but if you ever want to rise to the highest levels of pay, you're going to want to transition at some point to working with sellers. Now, one of the reasons why a lot of real estate agents, they fail to transition is because they've never really thought through how to do a listing appointment. Well, I'd like to clear that up for you today. I'd like to talk you through what should happen during a listing appointment. Now, when it comes to a listing appointment, there's really three key areas that you need to focus on. It's pretty simple. It's before the appointment, it's during the appointment, and it's after the appointment. So let's talk about each of those. You want to make sure you're prepared for each of them. And you want to make sure you've thought through each of those aspects of the appointment. Okay, so what do you do before the appointment? How do you prepare for the appointment? The first thing I would encourage you to do is do a ton of research on the house itself. Make sure you know everything about the house before you get to the appointment, as much as you can by researching it online. You want to know about the community. You want to know about the neighborhood. You want to know what houses have sold in that neighborhood recently. You want to know what houses are for sale currently in that neighborhood. What houses are pending in that neighborhood. How quickly are homes selling in that neighborhood. When you arrive to the listing appointment, you need to be the expert on that neighborhood. You need to be able to tell them things that they didn't know and know enough, and you need to be able to research enough so you can tell them things that other agents didn't even know. Another part of my research before I get to the listing appointment is I'll try to learn all that I can about the homeowner. With social media and so many online resources, you can learn a lot about people before you even get there. You can get a sense for what types of jobs they work, what do they do for fun, and maybe try to start figuring out some things that you have in common with them before you even arrive at the appointment. The next thing you're going to want to do in preparation for your listing appointment is you're going to want to put together a very professional packet that you can hand to them when you get to the listing appointment. Now, this is a quality signal, all right? If you do this packet in a very sloppy manner and you give this to them and it looks cheesy, it looks sloppy, they're going to assume you don't really know what you're doing. It's a quality signal. In that case, it'd be a poor quality signal. Now, you want to give them an excellent quality signal. So you want your packet to look excellent. When they see this great packet that you come to their appointment with, they're going to assume you know what you're doing. It's going to give you leverage and give them a sense that you are a professional and you know what you're doing in the market. You might be asking, okay, well, what's in this packet? Well, let me tell you what I put in my packet. You might have different things that you'll put in your packet, but this is what I put in mine. I lead out with a 25-point marketing arsenal. I tell them, this is my marketing plan, this is the strategy, this is how we're going to sell your home. A lot of agents focus on themselves and they have lots and lots of handouts that tell how great they are. And I found that people don't really care how great I am. They want to know, do I have a plan for selling their house? So I make sure I have a sharp 25-point marketing arsenal in the very front of this packet. Now, if you're a Plum Tree agent, we have these already uploaded in the Plum Tree Business Center, so you can download those and take those with you to your listing appointment. If you're not a Plum Tree agent, I would just suggest that you put together a very sharp, professional marketing plan that you can show them that you have a plan for how you're going to sell their house. The next thing that I put into my packet is what I call a NARPR report. NARRPR.com is a huge resource for us as real estate agents. Many real estate agents don't even know about this resource, but you can go to this website and you can set up an account, and then you can create 25-page valuation reports for their home, which make you look amazing. They'll think you're a genius. So you have your marketing plan, and then you have this property valuation report. A few other documents I'll throw in there will be a staging your home document. We have a one sheet in the Plum Tree Business Center where you can download this sheet and it tells them exactly what they need to know to be able to stage their home and get it prepared for the sale. So I hand them a document that's called the tiered down pricing strategy. And what that is most people want to get, the most amount of money possible for their home, but they don't really know exactly where to start that price. I recommend pricing it a little bit toward the top of what they think their home might be worth. And then I recommend dropping the price regularly, like every week, by a little bit until they find the true market for the home. Now, the way that you'll know if the price of the house is correct is because you'll start to notice by the number of showings you're getting. If you're not getting 3 to 4 showings per week, then that's an indication that you're probably priced too high. So you want to keep dropping the price, maybe by $1,000 or $2,000 every week until you're getting 3 to 4 showings per week. When you explain this to your clients, they'll realize that you have a plan, that you've thought this through, that you have a strategy, and that will make them want to list with you. So you want to be getting 3 to 4 showings per week. If you're not getting that, keep dropping the price until you are. Now, another indicator, if you have 9 showings and no offer, that's another indication that your house is probably listed too high and you need to keep dropping the price. So I'll take all these documents and I put them together neatly inside of a nicely printed Plum Tree folder. I'll have a Plum Tree pen, I'll have my business card, and I have that ready to go when I show up at the appointment. So that brings me to the next part of the listing presentation. This is the presentation itself. Let's talk about that. You want to make sure you're prepared for that. The first thing I would say is make sure you arrive early, but don't arrive to their house early, arrive to the neighborhood early. I don't know if you've ever arrived to somebody's home early, but it's usually not a good idea. You might catch them in the shower or trying to sweep up their home. People don't like it when you arrive to their home early. They like it when you arrive to other appointments early, just not if it's at their home, okay? So what I do is I get to the neighborhood about 10 or 15 minutes early. That gives me time to kind of drive through the neighborhood, get a sense for what other homes are for sale, maybe if there's some for sale by owners, get a sense for where the swimming pool is, if there is one, and maybe some other amenities in the neighborhood. So I get to know the neighborhood a bit, and then I make sure that I'm in their driveway about 3 minutes, 4 minutes, 5 minutes early, and then I wait until the exact time of the appointment and I knock on the door, ring the doorbell exactly when I'm supposed to be there. People love that. Every time I do that, people comment, "Wow, you're punctual." So that's a good first impression, right? So we greet them at the door, and the first thing I usually do, and you want to make sure you've scripted this out, you've thought this through, you have a plan, because they won't have a plan. So what you want to do is say, "Hey, the first thing I'd love to do would be, can you just give me a little tour of your home?" And so during this time, you want to be trying to build rapport with them. You want to try to build a relationship with them as quickly as you can. Another interesting thing is that people like to do business with people who are like them. Okay? Not only people who like them, but people who are like them. So one of your jobs as you're building rapport, as they're giving you this little tour, is to try to find things that you have in common with them. And this is a great relationship builder. So as you're walking through the home, you see pictures of maybe they were on a camping trip. If you like to go camping, you can comment on that. "Oh, I'd love to go camping. Where's the best place you've gone camping? Where have you gone that you really loved?" Or maybe you'll see their kids are in soccer, and maybe your kids were in soccer, and you have a dog or pets. And so it gives you an opportunity to find things you have in common with them, so you can relate to them, so they can relate to you. They need to see you as more than just a salesperson. They need to see you as a person that actually cares about them, a person who's real and genuine, someone with whom they could actually become a friend. So they're giving you the tour of the home. As you're going through the home, I would recommend that you have a notepad with you and take notes as you're walking through the home. And I also take my iPhone with me, and I'll snap pictures, and I'll tell them, these aren't the professional pictures, I'm just taking pictures to document your home, because I want to remember exactly what you have, types of flooring and counters and everything. I want to make sure I don't miss anything that's important. Now, as you're going through their home, my biggest recommendation is that you get excited about their home. If you can't get excited about their home, then they're going to think, this person can't sell my home. But if you can show enthusiasm for their home, get excited about the things that they've done. When you see the way that they set up the kitchen, you can say, "Wow, I love what you did in the kitchen." Now make sure it's genuine and real. But there's something in just about every home that you can get excited about if you're looking for it. So do your best to get excited and show enthusiasm about this great home that you're getting ready to list. Okay, so once they've taken you through their house, given you their grand tour, the next thing that I do is I say, "Well, hey, would you mind if we step in here to the kitchen? Maybe we can sit down at the kitchen table and I can show you some things, some numbers that I've worked up, and maybe we can talk through a strategy for selling your home." So at that point, you walk over to the table and then set down a folder. They might ask you, "Hey, would you like a glass of water?" Or something like that. It's generally best to let them get you water. Some hosts or hostesses will feel like it's rude if they offer something and you don't accept it. So I would recommend when they offer you water or something like that, go ahead, let them get you some water. It's a great way to, and you'll probably need water by that point. Okay, so you sit down at the table, you've got your really nice packet. So what I do is I open up the packet and then I'll start taking out various documents that I have in there. I'll take out the marketing plan and I'll set that out there. And I'll go through that with them. And then I'll take the NARPR report, the property valuation report, and I'll sit that down and I'll go through that with them. I make sure they understand how I'm going to market it. I'll make sure they get a real good sense for the value of their property. Now here's a pro tip here. Before you tell them what you think the value of the property is, I always ask them, what's your gut feeling for what the value of your property is? And usually I'll do that before I even get to the listing appointment, because I want to get a sense for what is their mindset. What do they think their house is worth? If you found out that their house is worth $400,000 and they think it's worth $500,000, well, that's going to make a difference on the type of conversation that you have with them. But if you think the house is worth $400,000 and they think it's worth $350,000, well, that's a different kind of conversation. So finding out what their mindset is, what they think their house is worth, turns out to be an important number before you get there. That determines how the conversation will go. So you've laid out your marketing strategy, you've laid out your property valuation report, you've gone through that, and then I start showing them some other documents like the staging document. I'll show them the tiered down pricing document. At that point, I pull out the listing agreement and I start to fill it out. And this is called an assumed close. So I'll just start filling out, and I'll have most of the listing agreement filled out ahead of time anyway. So I've got this listing agreement, but I always leave the price blank. So I take that and I ask them as we're sitting there at the kitchen table, I say, okay, so based on what we've talked about, what do you think our asking price should be? And they'll maybe throw out a number, and maybe you'll help them to throw out a number. So once you get that number, then I'll just write it out at the top of the listing agreement. And then I'll go through the listing agreement paragraph by paragraph, and I'll say, well, this section says this, means this. Does that make sense? And this section here says this, it kind of means this. Does that make sense? And then this section says this, it means this. Does that make sense? Okay. Any questions about any of that? No? Okay. So if you don't mind, go ahead and initial down here at the bottom. And so I just assume they're going to sign the listing agreement. That's my approach. That's how I go through a listing presentation. Now that makes it very easy for them just to go ahead and sign up with me. Now, if there's an objection, that's the point where those objections will start to come up. They might say, well, we're not quite ready to sign today. And so you'll start working through those objections, whatever they might be. But I always use the assumed close. If they're asking me to come over and talk to them about listing their home, of course they're going to list with me. Why wouldn't they list with me? Of course they are. They like me, right? So I just assume they're going to sign up, and I take them right through that. And that works a high percentage of the time. Then once you have the listing agreement signed, at that point you want to make sure you schedule the photo shoot for the home, and you want to make sure you schedule the first 2 or 3 open houses that you're going to perform on the home. Now that doesn't mean you need to be at these open houses. It just means you or another agent with your brokerage is going to do an open house for them. So make sure you get those on the calendar and it feels like you have a plan. And when they see that, they'll have a sense that you have a plan and that you're moving forward and you're already getting things on the calendar to list their home. Okay, so that's the listing appointment. And then the next part is what you do after the listing appointment. And the most important things that you can do after the listing appointment is to make sure you follow up on every detail on every promise you made to them during the listing appointment. And the best way to do that, make sure you get all the marketing scheduled and planned and on the calendar so that you can execute it quickly and thoroughly and completely. All right, well, I know there's millions of ways to do a listing appointment. This just happens to be the way that I do it. But I would love to hear how you do your listing appointments. Maybe the way I do it is completely opposite of the way that you do it. And I think there's lots of great ways to do it, but I'd love to hear from you. What do you do differently? What do you do the same? How are your listing appointments different than what I just described here? What other ideas can you share with our community who watches these videos? I'd love to hear from you. All right, well, thanks for watching this video today. Please like the video, please subscribe to our channel, and we'd love it if you'd share it on your own social media. And by the way, be sure to hit the link below to sign up for a free 1-hour coaching session. I'd love to teach you one-on-one how to double your income over the next 12 months. Thanks for watching. Go make some money.